You're listening to Design Between the Lines, the only design and home furnishings podcast where we talk with the movers and shakers, industry innovators, and lifetime legends of the home furnishings industry. It's here that I get a chance to sit and chat with the influencers shaping the industry into what it is today, and to learn a little bit more about life in their world. We're in High Point. It's during market. We're at the String and Splinter Club, right in the middle of downtown High Point, in April at the Spring Market.
2016.
2016. Alexander, thank you for joining us today.
Alex, please, John. Alexander's the label.
I've got it.
Alexander's what I was called when I misbehaved as a child, so I'm used to hearing it.
Very good. I had my full name, and I never, ever came when my mother called me that whole
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you.
Happy to be here.
And here we are sitting in what used to be the old Tomlinson Furniture offices.
Yeah.
And what a unique position. I'm really interested. I've read a lot of things about you. The most recent article that I've read was in Our State magazine. It was a good one. But I'm kind of interested in what was Alex as a kid? What was he like?
You know, most of the kids that I grew up with, once I went to New York and sort of made my name and there was all this publicity and stuff, they were like, wait a minute, is that the same guy we used to play? You know, that was the guy that would never catch the right pass on the, when you told him to do that in run. I love playing football, I love playing basketball. I was a normal kid. I happened to be just a normal kid who grew up in the middle of the best clothing store in the Southeast and had custom-made suits when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So, I had this dichotomy of existence that, because both of my parents ran Julian's, which was opened in 1942 by them. My father was UNC class of 1938. I was literally raised in the store, and my first playthings were swatch books. Wow. I made forts out of cashmere sweaters and suit boxes.
Oh my gosh! And you saw retail at its basic nuts and bolts from the ground up.
I grew up in it, and when I was about, I must have been 11, and there was this cash wrap, big cash wrap, old-time cash register that rang with a noise when you made a sale. And, that was a familiar sound, and whenever that sound occurred, I would look, and one of my parents was standing behind the cash wrap, and a stranger was standing on the other side, handing my parents their money. Oh. And I thought to myself at about 11, both people are smiling. This is a good thing. I like this, because they were getting something of value, and my parents were making a profit on it. And it proved to me really, really early in my life that you can't fool people. You have to give them honest value. You have to give them good product. You have to give them things that make them smile. And that's something that, I had a foundation for 25 years on trying to figure out ways to help teach aesthetic development to kids. Mm-hmm. And the gross oversimplification of how to teach creativity to a child, which, by the way, is the same way to teach it to an adult, it's just that children listen, is what I call E squared, which is exposure times empowerment. You expose a mind to variables. You say that nothing in the material world, the man-made world, has to be in the shape, form, or pattern or color that it's in. But then you give them enough self-assurance, which is the empowerment, to make them feel comfortable to go out and try something that they've never seen before. So and inadvertently, John, that's exactly the way I was raised.
That's what I'm thinking. So you're actually applying a lesson you've learned.
Just lucky.
You were really self-taught all the way retailing.
Yes.
No, exactly.
Well, I was taught by great masters, but the masters were in the factories and in the weaving centers and in the sweater mills. And I grew up watching. Every summer vacation was tied around a factory visit with my father, because he designed, like lots of great specialty store owners in those days. He designed special products for his stores, a form of differentiation and getting what he wanted for his customer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sitting there in shirt factories in New England, or shoe factories in Brockton, Mass, or sweater factories in Scotland, or mills in England or Italy, you know, watching my father redesign something from like age 6 until 16. You know, to me, that's what dads did. You know, that was kind of a normal thing to do. And so I just followed in his footsteps.
Were you rebellious in any way as you grew into your teen years?
Well, I would say the best indication of that, and you can answer the question yourself, was that when I was 21 and he was away for a month, I spent today's equivalent of about close to $1 million of his money, let a tenant out of a 5-year lease in a building that he owned, and opened my own store when he was out of town.
That's when it started. Wow. Okay, that had to be an interesting
if any of my 7 kids ever tried something like that, and luckily they haven't yet. The youngest is 21. So.
Wow. So the youngest is 21, oldest?
The oldest, she'll be here tonight. She turns 50 in 3 weeks.
Well, now that's a good breadth of family.
Yes.
All supporters of yours. This is a good thing.
I love them all.
You are blessed.
Yes,
This is
I am.
good. Well, tell me, I'm interested. When did the uniform concepts come into this whole thing?
That was not ever really thought of.
Never really entered your mind.
It started with, you know, you're born and raised in Chapel Hill.
Right.
And if you don't like sports, they leave you 6 miles away on the edge of a town called Durham.
Yes.
And
well put. I really like that answer. I really like.
Great university.
Yeah.
2 of them. But, you know, when the Hornets, when it wasn't called the Hornets, when the team was, when George Shinn got the franchise for Charlotte, we happened to share a banker.
Oh, okay.
But what I didn't know at the time is that he had Max Mullman, who was the sports marketing genius in Charlotte, who was the one that helped George to get the franchise, and then later helped the Richardsons get the Panthers franchise.
Okay.
And Max, from the time he got the franchise until the first game was a year. And Max is a very, very smart marketing guy. And he had his thought process, and I confirmed this with him, was how do I keep the team in the press? How do I keep the momentum going and the excitement going? And so he's the one that had the idea, and then George connected to me through an NCNB banker. And you know, I don't know how long you want me to go on about that, but
it's interesting to me.
There's a lot of stories there.
It's interesting to me, I guess, for our listeners that are maybe just getting into the design field. It's so much about connections, and it's so much about you know someone and someone knows someone else, and all of a sudden
that I think is even more important as the world, the communication accessibility increases, as well as the difficulty of getting jobs increases. That it's sadly come down to an unfair system.
Yeah.
But
that's just kind of how it works.
Maybe that's the way it always was. I don't know. But you know, I was in New York. I wasn't in North Carolina, and it worked wonderfully for them. It worked well for me. George asked if he could afford me, and I said, you know, I'll do it for honor. I will do it for nothing, but if you sell copies of my uniforms, I want my normal 5%.
Exactly.
And he said, I can't do that. Net, that's how the NBA makes most of its money, is selling all those copies. I didn't know that. It was expansion team. And, you know, I'm living in Connecticut at the time, and I still am, and I'm thinking, you know, what good is money if you can't buy barbecue? So I traded him 5 pounds of Carolina barbecue a month for ownership of the uniform designs.
Wow.
The Washington Post headline was my favorite. I mean, I got a page of Sports Illustrated editorial, Newsweek, Time Magazine. It was big news, and because I was the first fashion designer to ever do pro sports uniforms. And the Washington Post headline was my favorite. It said, "Hoop Couture Julian does pro uniforms and is paid in pork.
Oh, this is very good.
So at the end of it, they sold $200 million worth of copies of my uniforms before they moved to New Orleans.
Oh my gosh.
So basically, at 5%, I traded $10 million for a gut.
Well, that's pretty good. I like
George
that
got
line.
rich and I got fat.
I understand a little bit of I guess it was an evening you were getting ready for an event in England, in London.
Yeah.
And you got this fateful phone call.
When Coach Smith,
Yeah.
the dean himself,
The
called
dean.
me at Claridge's Hotel, and God, it still makes the hair on the back of my neck raise to because being born and raised in Chapel Hill.
Oh, yeah.
My father went to school there. I went to school there. My sister, now 4 of my kids have gone to school there. It's about as blue as you can get. But to have Dean Smith, aka God of the hardboards, call and ask you for. He said, "Alex, I really like what you did with the Hornets. I think the Tar Heels are ready for a change. Would you like to do it?" And I'm like, it was literally like having God call and ask for new halos for the Archangels.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, and if I screwed it up, I could never go home again.
Yeah, no pressure there, right? Oh my God. What is designing to a man like Alexander Julian? I wanted to dig in to what his design process is like.
Let me say a little about a lot.
Sure.
And vice versa. The design process, I am firmly convinced. The first time I went to design school was to teach, and I'm not proud of that, but it is a fact. And the only benefit of that was I wasn't told what not to do. But the downside of it is I didn't know how to do anything except ideate. And ideation is my specialty. The creative process, I am convinced you cannot dictate design. You cannot dictate taste. What designers do is to listen. And we are all more highly sensitive, more trained antenna, nerve endings that pick up the vibrations of what's going on in society, and frequently are able to anticipate what the customer wants, sometimes years in advance. And it's not that somebody else wouldn't have gotten there, it's just you happen to have gotten there sooner. When I brought color into hip traditional menswear, it took off like a rocket. And I didn't create that. I mean, I created the clothes, but it was the market was ready for it. They were hungry for it. When I made with Universal in my first furniture line, when I did my wife and I together, because she was instrumental, made sort of hip traditional furniture that looked antique, but it was an affordable price with great details and tortoiseshell pulls and this sort of stuff. It took off like a rocket. But we didn't change people's minds. They were hungry for it. They were ready for it. And an example. I tried to get into the furniture business for 10 years. I was very successful in apparel design, both for men and women and children. But the first time, John, that I saw a twinkle in the eye of someone whose taste I liked or admired, when they were talking about a piece of furniture or a room or their new apartment or their new house, the interior, then the first time I saw it, I would like to flatter myself by thinking that it registered with me, but certainly by the third time I saw someone whose taste I admired talking animatedly and with glow and fire in their eyes about furniture, I wanted to do it. And that's what I'm talking about is opening your eyes and ears. I have taught design, and you have to train yourself to be open and at the same time to register things that appeal. I mean, you can be walking down the street of New York City, and all of a sudden you look over and there's a pile of trash, and there's something that pings you. There's something that excites you about it, and you got to learn to analyze. What is it? Is it the juxtaposition of the colors? Is it the depth of the shadow? Is it the patterns colliding together, or is it, what is it? That, and then you register that and put it down and make a list of those things, and then the next project you're working on, you never know where those things come from. I mean, we just left a concept meeting for a new product line here in High Point that I can't talk about. But
everyone says that too.
But the first thing that my wife and I, she brought up, she said, I'm going to have to fly home to Connecticut tomorrow to the studio because we're on a quick turn, and go through our archives of ideas of all the things and all the pictures we've taken over the last 25 years. We've been working on this stuff. Because yes, there's something new.
Sure.
There is something new under the sun, but usually it's a reinterpretation of something. We all stand on the shoulders of greats, and the more knowledge you can have, the more an individual can learn about their field.
It looks like we've got this. There's a thread I'm pulling here, all the way back to
no
when
pun
you were a
intended.
child. Nope. Gosh, I just realized that. No pun intended.
English major,
going back to your childhood, powers of observation.
Yeah.
You're observing two sets of happy people.
Yeah.
Your parents and the people buying the product. Value,
Right.
a value statement, and now you're seeing it applied in every category. But you're pulling observations from your daily living, and you have a designer's eye. And when I say that, that means it sticks in your memory.
Yeah.
And you remember, I remember I had this thing, and you stored it, and you bring it back up as you're about to do on this quick turnaround. This is what I see. It's kind of going all the way through your life now that you've got these observations. So it's amazing.
I mean, Einstein said a lot of things about design. One was that creativity is more important than knowledge. I think if you have to weigh the two, I would agree with him, but the combination is what you really want.
Yes.
And that's where design schools can bring that all together.
At least putting a functioning outline.
Yes.
Right?
But he also made an important point about genius being the ability to transcend the knowledge of one field into an entirely different area. And you cross-pollinate with things, and that's. I'm not saying that I'm genius by any means, but the idea of using. I learned from apparel design a very simple thing: what do women and men both like at the same time, and what's timeless in terms of iconography, patterns, colors, and I apply that. Those are my rules of thumb.
That makes a lot of sense, and also it allows you to apply the memory banks that you've stored all these great ideas in. My other question.
I haven't made any wooden clothing though.
Well, but there's always a first.
Well, we do some bamboo. It's fun though.
I can remember being in China and eating bamboo for dinner one night, and I said, "Really? You never know what you're going to get for dinner in China, and never ask."
Right.
As I recall, one factory owner, I asked what this was, and he said it's some kind of meat, and that's as far as I went with the question after that.
Right.
But the question I've got for you is it relates to when you expanded into home furnishings. And you made that great collection, and I know a major collection of yours won a Pinnacle Award from the American Society of Home Furnishings Designers, and we're happy to have you as an award winner in our select group.
I was more than honored. It was very exciting.
And you bounced into another human being who got you charged up. Yeah. You watched how they talked about furniture, and you were lit up by their enthusiasm. Is that correct?
It turned on the engine.
See,
it got me focused on something that I had never thought about. And just as something as simple, I remember an old girlfriend who I don't get to see very often, but what she always says is, you're the one that told me about the sunsets. You know, that's a pretty simple thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think most people would dig beautiful sunsets, but she said, I never really paid attention to sunsets until you used to wax poetically about them.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I have to make a note of that. And
I had ulterior motives.
Yes, you did.
Just right after that, it got dark.
Well, see now, I'm thinking, okay, there's another motivation, right? So the question I've got next for you is related to taking that step. You told me the other day on the phone when we were talking, you had a number of how many different types of products you've designed.
Well, so far I'm at 108 different categories of
How
products.
do you keep track of all that? I mean, it's
Well,
amazing.
speeches.
Well, yeah, there you go.
make you quantify.
Yeah.
It was when I did my TED Talk at UNC 3 years ago.
I saw that just the other day.
It was 103. But I've added to it, and I'm hopefully going to be adding 109 soon.
Wow.
The 109th soon.
I saw a great sweater in the first one I watched. There was that was of course your sweater.
Yeah.
It was a great talk.
Well, it's all it's a question of time and place and applying the integrity of what is your design and premature into in an intelligent way. I mean, you can't just slap your design on and expect people to like it. It has to work for people. And you know, the consumer, I grew up in a store, and I tell every design student that I ever meet that the best thing to do is find the store for the kind of thing that you're looking to design. Find the store that does the best job of selling that, and get a part-time job in that store so you learn to listen to consumers.
That's great advice, because from there you've got a basis to make a judgment. Do you want to pursue that career, or do you want to go in a different direction? Last little thought on this same direction, and that is, how do you see the industry right now? You know, we've been through a big recession in the furniture business. Coming out of it.
I've only been in High Point a couple of hours, but the mood on the street is good. You know, the people that I've talked to are optimistic. The trade is up, and even though the ridiculous HB2 laws here in this state, there's still traffic here. I'm not sure we deserve it. Yeah. But
we just released the ASFD statement on that today to the press.
Yeah.
You know, colors are coming back, and I don't mean to be using that term lightly, but that's what I've seen the last couple of years, just in the last 2 days walking around here. Suddenly, in the papers and trade papers, colors popping out everywhere. That's got to be heading your direction like a freight train.
Well,
right
you know, it's, John, even a stopped watch is right twice a day.
Well put. Well put. Well, what advice, in addition to what you just mentioned a minute ago, might you give students of design? And it doesn't matter what direction they're going about, what they should keep true to.
Go with your passion. Go with your belief in it. Even if it doesn't work, get up and try again. If it doesn't work the next time, get up and try again. You know, I had to bash my head through into that brick wall of getting an idea across 1,000 times, and I thought it would never happen, and then suddenly things fall into place. It doesn't happen all the time. It hasn't happened for me all the time. I have had miserable failures along with great successes. You know, it's you have to be thick-skinned and be prepared for that and not take it personally. I think one of the key things that I would urge to anyone in any field of design is work on your communication skills, because being able to explain and communicate verbally, you can draw something, well, that's great, I can't. But being able to explain the concept and what the emotion is behind it and the reasons it's going to make somebody have a better life. Work on your dialogue.
Get it across to people. In a sense, you're selling no matter what.
It's selling the same way that fly fishing is different than harpooning. You know, you're
same
laying
field,
something
but-
beautiful out there, and in the right time, somebody's going to rise to it, and then you throw them back.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Well, I want to take a minute here and thank you for being with us today. And
It's an honor.
Tell you, well, it's an honor for us as well, and it's great to share a few minutes with you today. Thank you for being here. I want to thank my guest, Alexander Julian, for talking with me at this past market. Design Between the Lines is produced by Element Studio with the American Society of Furniture Designers. We're recorded in High Point, North Carolina. To learn more about ASFD, visit asfd.com. And don't forget to subscribe to hear more industry stories of design between the lines.